Live from... This is
the Just End the Suffering podcast.
For the win. Got it! Oh! He broke his ankle. Follow me to freedom. Now ready for this.
Here's your host, Mike Phillips.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of the Just End the Suffering podcast, featuring New York sports talk from a long suffering fan. I'm your host, Mike Phillips. Got a bonus podcast this week, another bonus one. We've done 2 podcasts already this week. We had the opening day special with Jason Stark. We're going to have a guest on this episode who was on that episode as well. I did the baseball movie draft on Thursday, but we do have some breaking news today. Joining me today on the line, unofficial host of this podcast. You heard from him on Tuesday in the baseball beat section. Will Schneiderhan is here. Will, how are you?
Good. A lot to digest.
There is a lot to digest. We are doing an instant reaction podcast. I've done one of these before. That was after Mickey Callaway got fired in 2018. Did an instant reaction then. We do have some big time breaking news here. Just give me one second here. Jamal Adams is gone. Can you believe it?
I honestly, part of me, you are kind of like when I saw the Costello tweet, you're like, oh, holy crap! Like you're kind. But you know what? I wasn't like. Were you upset? Like I wasn't like, damn. Like like when the Cano trade and stuff happened, like other trades like that. Like this one, I was kind of like, all right.
Yeah, just to reset where we are time-wise, I mean, we're recording about 4:36. Brian Costello tweeted about a half hour ago that Jamal Adams is on his way out. We're watching the Met-Brave game in the background here, and they're down 1-0 after Adam Duvall hit a homer off of the cardboard cutout of Jeff McNeil's dog, Willow, out in right field. But I was sitting there watching this. I see this tweet come up. I'm like, okay, that was fast, number one, because this comes out day after Jamal's brilliant, it turns out his parting farewell to Jet fans, that tell-all article by Manish Mehta about how Adam Gase sucks, how the ownership sucks, how Joe Douglas is a poor communicator. That comes out, and then I said, okay, what's the return? What do we get back? Because Joe Douglas said, I want to get overpaid. And do you think he got overpaid?
Yeah. I mean, I again, since this is happening, like literally I was just laying on my couch, getting ready to watch this Mets game. And I think the tweet came out literally right around first pitch, right? Yeah. So I haven't looked anything up, obviously, but like my one friend tweeted or texted me, he's like, there's no one worth that, let alone safety. So I'm almost positive, correct me if I'm wrong, this is like a similar package to what the Bears gave up for Khalil Mack, isn't it? And I'm almost positive that this is more than the Giants got for Odell Beckham and the Cowboys traded for Amari Cooper.
Yep, and certainly a lot more than the Houston Texans got for DeAndre Hopkins.
For DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah. We'll get to the conversation now. First of all, a hat tip to a friend of the podcast, Brian Costello, for being the first to break the trade. And the Jets got back 2 first-round picks from Seattle, one for this year, one for next year. A third-round pick this year, and safety Bradley McDougald in exchange for Jamal and a 4th-round pick in 2022. And to me, that's the textbook definition of an overpay.
And of course, it came from Seattle, right? I mean, listen, if you're the Seahawks, who needs first-round picks when you're terrible at drafting and you freaking trade out of the first constantly? Yeah. And I mean, I sort of will break it down, but even considering these will be later in the first round, I mean, God, just build those assets or flip them. I mean, there's so much you can do now. I'm more excited now than I was yesterday, than I was when the season ended. Yeah. And that's really hard to say when you're trading a player like Jamal Adams.
Yeah, just for retrospect, I remember when the Jets traded Darrelle Revis, who is a far more complete player than Jamal was, because Jamal's a great safety. He's a great box safety. Revis is the best cover corner in football in his prime. They got a 1st and a 3rd-round pick for him. Yeah. The Jets got an extra... They just got an extra one and a player for Jamal Adams in 2020, which I get the Seattle fit because Seattle plays that cover 3 defense and Jamal can be the new Cam Chancellor and just crush at the line of scrimmage. But for what the Jets had to do and how to rebuild, that's a lot of assets.
Oh, listen, like you just said, Jamal, I think, and Adams went to the best place he could go, right? Yeah. I mean, whatever. Good luck, enjoy, thank you, goodbye. But I'm serious, and I know you go dig into Twitter and stuff and see that, like, I was like, oh, I've loved Jamal. I wanted him to stay. Yes, that's all true. But at the same time, when you really break it down, the dude is a safety. I'm sorry. There's no way. The Bears had, like, the best defense in the NFL and let Adrian Amos walk in free agency. You know, like, we've seen teams do this. I mean, there's two safeties that come to the top of my head that I have watched in my whole life where they absolutely dictate a defense. Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu.
Yep.
I mean,
Jamal's not there.
No, and again, those are still damn good defenses those two played on. Like I got Jamal's frustration of, like, wanting to win, blah 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 blah. But, like, what did you think you were walking into? You know what I mean? And it's not like the team isn't trying to get better. So, listen, you get those, and McDougald's like a decent NFL player. Like, it's not like you just got to throw in. You got a guy who's going to start for you. He shores up your safety spot. You have good depth there. I mean, hey, you kind of get both, right? Like, it's like the best of both worlds. You fill it with a guy who's capable enough, and then you just stockpile his assets. And that's a rant. But, like, what you said about Darrell Revis, shut down cornerback, I pay that an arm and a leg for that 10 times out of 10 before I ever pay for an all-pro safety. I mean, there's just no way you ever do that.
Yeah, I think the closest concerns of trade overhauls right now, basically, I think was the Khalil Mack trade you brought up and the Rams trading 2 first-round picks to the Jaguars for Jalen Ramsey. That's, I think, the closest you come to it. And I think Jamal is not in the same class of players, those two guys, because Jalen Ramsey is a shutdown corner when he's motivating, ready to go. And Khalil Mack is one of the best impactful pass rushers in football. Jamal, it's not disparaging Jamal. Jamal's a great player. Jamal Adams is he can stop the run with anybody. He can rush the passer. He can make impact plays, but he can't cover, and that's a problem in the passing NFL.
See, so this is like exactly what I said. You're spot on. You overpay for an edge rusher, a literal game wrecker like a Khalil Mack, and then it just shut down cornerback Jalen Ramsey, who's like 25.
Yeah,
like you do that. That is absolutely, you do that. But like you said, like Jamal Adams, and I swear I was wary about this as the season went on. Like, it was awesome he was getting the sack numbers and stuff, but, like, to me that was like putting lipstick on a pig. That defense was so bad, and Greg Williams had to use him that way. He literally had to use him. He was the only, like, slightly capable pass rusher the team had where he was like, you know what? We can't cover long enough. Nobody else. George Jenkins isn't generating this pressure. I got to use this guy this way. And again, he's versatile. He's dynamic. He's amazing around the line of scrimmage, in the box. But just like you said, if he can go be the Cam Chancellor, one hell of a player, was never asked to make too many plays in coverage. There you go, Jamal. But he's never going to get that contract that he wants. Not there, my God. And I know he said he wouldn't. I don't want to sign a contract if I go to get traded, because it's never going to happen there. Mr. Wilson gets paid very handsomely.
Yeah, Jamal's going to take a little bit of a discount if he wants to get paid over there.
I'm really, honestly, as a Jets fan, I it was kind of like spitting into the wind the past few seasons. Like, oh, maybe we can win 8, maybe we could do it. Like, listen, this team was bad. Roster bad.
Yeah, they stink.
So you get the assets, build that depth, right? I thought, and you know what I love about Douglas? And I saw Connor Hughes just say this. He tweeted, like, this trade did not just happen. This had been in the works. But what I like about Douglas is culture change. I think that's just, we need that. And now you got a guy, I mean, let's not forget, guys, last year, CJ Mosley plays, 2 games? Avery Williamson plays in I almost said spring training, in in the preseason. You're getting those 2 back. The defense is, I honestly, it might be a bold take, but, like, I don't think the defense is going to, like, regress that much. It's the offense. My gosh, everything is on that side of the football. That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, I mean, I've had discussions with Cowboys fans who wanted to trade for Jamal Adams. I'm like, and they're like, "What's the price tag for Jamal?" I'm like, "Well, to be probably be two top picks, Michael Gallup, and maybe a mid-round pick." That's basically what Seattle gave them. Except for Gallup, they gave you a safety to start for this year in place of Jamal.
I tell you, there was times where, like, you said exact package. You said, like, a first, a third, and a receiver like that, where I probably would have been like, "Whoa, dude, 2 firsts and the." I mean, that is ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. And there's no way Dallas. The reported package was Dallas offered a 1 and a 2 or something like that during the deadline or something. I mean, this blows that out of the water. This is just good business. It's good business. I think it's timely that the report that the Manish thing came out so recently that it kind of looks like Adam forced his way out. But like, my God, you dropped this package at Douglas's door like 2 months ago. I bet you he does it then.
Yeah, I think if you gave it to him at the deadline last year, you probably would have done it because like that's not.
Oh, hands down.
They were not getting these kinds of offers at trade deadline last year, and he's basically said like, I'm not shopping around. I will pick up the phone if you come talk to me. And Seattle has clearly wanted him based on how much they gave up. And I think if you look at this, this sets the Jets up very well for the long term because with the cap going down, now they don't have to worry about overpaying Jamal to keep him happy and getting the distraction out of the locker room before training camp starts, which I think would have been a nightmare for I'm still with Jamal that Gase is a terrible head coach, but you cannot have him, your best player, walk around saying the coach sucks. You really can't have that going on.
No, you cannot. And it says a lot. I think Le'Veon Bell sends a very cryptic kind of like tweet, but in a way where it's like, listen, guys, get the BS out the door. Let's go. Like, he's right. Le'Veon Bell. I mean, my God, for a guy who people peg as a prima donna, he pretty much was like, okay, get the heck out of here, right? Like. Guys, that's players today just want it their way and just that way. And I'm happy that Le'Veon kind of came out and tweeted that. It kind of suggests that like people in the locker room are willing to play for Gase. Like us on the couch, when I complain that he hasn't adjusted after the fifth freaking drive of the fourth quarter and so on, but like guys are going to play for him. Guys want to play for Douglas. And the fact you just said the locker room, there's a lot of really like potentially impactful rookies coming in, Mims, Bryce Hall, Sexton, a lot of these young guys. Like, I don't want them walking in the locker room and the guys they're looking up to is trash talking the GM and the coach. It's like when Sheldon was here, when Richardson was here. Remember, he was doing it, and okay, you just cannot have that. Especially with Sam Darnold. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, Jamal retweeting the deficiencies that Darnold has and so on, but then you have a guy like Lev Bell who's like, I'm playing with Darnold. Darnold's my guy. Like, I don't know. I think it was, this is very like good versus evil, where Jamal, it just made it easy. It made it easy for this to digest. I mean, I thought what he did the other day was just so ridiculous. And, he's going to Seattle, but like Seattle does have like a history of not paying guys too. Yeah. I mean, let's not forget Earl Thomas broke his leg or whatever in a game and flipped off the sideline.
Yeah, don't forget Jadeveon Clowney they traded for still sitting on free agency. They didn't want to re-sign him.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just this opens stuff like that. Like you bring up Jadeveon, they're not going to sign him, but like that, you get these assets, you clear cap, maybe you do something with Jadeveon, maybe go make a trade for Yannick down the line, or you just simply stockpile draft assets. There's so much you can do with it, Like that is textbook GMing right there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we brought the Le'Veon Bell tweets literally like minutes after the trade news broke. He hit a string of tweets. First up, he tweets "coup" with with the thumbs up emoji. Then he says in his next tweet, "People do all the hooting and hollering to get you brought in just to leave. LOL, like people weird, yo. The internet got these dudes doing whatever for attention, even when they tell you SH blank T that they don't believe themselves." So clearly taking some shots at Jamal on his way out the door.
And I think when you look at now, right, the leaders you have in the guys that are going to show up day one and lead you. You have C.J. Mosley, phenomenal player. Le'Veon Bell, say what you want. Didn't have a good year last year, but a guy who sounds like he's ready. Like last year, he owned up to it. He said, "I'm coming this year." A guy who can lead. Avery Williamson. Like you said, it would have been so tough if you kind of had all these guys trying to lead, and then Jamal. Oh, well, I want blah 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 blah. Like it won't work. It wouldn't have worked. So I'm excited, man. I love C.J. Mosley. So I mean, now that he'll be back and healthy. All these other guys, you're going to see it. And I do. I'm not, part of me is upset because Jamal was going to be our first round pick we ever hit on. But hey, he's got a big year in Seattle now because, like you said, man, he's not really a pass cover guy, and he doesn't really have to be at the way he plays safety and the position he's at. But I don't know. I think there was a lot of kind of blanketing in his big year last year. A lot of the deficiencies were hidden. So I mean, this is. When I saw the haul, when I texted you right before this, I'm like, oh, there goes Jamal. And I saw what we got, and you were quite a bit of a haul or something. I'm like, my God, you hit the nail on the head quite a bit.
I will say also, the Jets going to Seattle in December this year is going to be a lot more interesting now.
How about Sam tosses 3 right over right over, right? Chris Herndon's catching the touchdowns over the middle with Jamal on him.
Yeah, I'm also excited, too, as a Jet fan, just to know that this GM, this is his first big test where he had the disgruntled player here, and this could have gone the way, as you said, of 2016 when Sheldon Richardson and Brandon Marshall are fighting in the huddle, and they just basically destroyed the locker room. Like, before Canada started, he said, nope, I'm not doing this. Like, I got a good offer. I'm going to take what I can get here, move on here. And I think the point with all of Jamal's actions in the offseason, whether it was the trade requests, the rants on Twitter, the video saying, send me to Dallas, I want to go to Dallas, and this stuff with Manish Mehta, like, that was not going to work. Like, the relationship deteriorated to the point where something had to be done.
Yeah, I think it's fine he didn't get to go to Dallas. I do. So a part of me kind of is like a moral win with that, where it's like, all right, you didn't go to Dallas, and I can tell you right now, he's definitely not like super like Seattle. Not to go down another rabbit hole, but just real quick, like Seattle has hands down one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but like they're on the downhill here. Like it's not like Seattle is like gonna, and if they do, then hey, pie in my face, I'm wrong. But it's not like Seattle is up and coming, right? No. Their window kind of like closed. And like you said, just going back to like McCagnon sat way too long with the Sheldon Richardson after a season. The Jets had that big year the year before that, right? Or 2 years before that, whenever they had it. And then they come back next year. And you just let it flare out. Like you cannot allow that to happen. And I'm happy Douglas said, you know what? And like you said, like I think you had mentioned it during the draft where he had emphasized drafting former captains and signing, leaders and so on. I mean, this just, to me, just keeps going, right? Just it's all about a culture change, and once you have a better attitude in the locker room, I mean, hey, that's like you can have one of the most talented players in the world. Look at the Cleveland Browns; it doesn't work out sometimes. Once you have that culture and you have that voice and you have that, positiveness, as cliche as it is, in that locker room, it goes a long way. And I am, like you said, I'm so happy that Douglas kind of cut the head off, right? Nope, we're not letting this get in the workouts in the training camp, and let's go. New day. New day,
and I am intrigued to see what they can do with all these picks because I have two first rounds each of the next 2 years, which is going to be very helpful for them. They could do what you said. They could take picks and trade for a guy like Yannick Ngakoue and give themselves that edge rusher they desperately need. They have money now. They can add more guys because I think the thing people underrate is that his contract is going to be expensive, and basically they're projecting the way this is that the cap's going to go down $23 million next year. That's basically, if you take Jamal's extension out of the play here, that gives the Jets more wiggle room to do more things, building a more complete roster. Losing a guy like Jamal hurts, but I think, as Mike Francis has said many times on WFAN, I do agree at this point, they went 16-32 with Jamal being a great player. They can go 16-32 without him.
Exactly, and like you said, this year, I honestly, in a year, the Seattle could be looking to ditch him because his contract jumped so much in that fifth year.
Yeah,
he's $3 million this year, jumps more. So yeah, it'll see. That's not I'm not worried about that, right? So yeah, like you said, and I like how they structured those short-term deals, right? Like Douglas doing that this offseason looks even better now because now you don't have long-term money committed at a spot on offensive line where maybe you have the chance to go and upgrade in the draft. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of good things can be done now.
It will be intriguing to see how they do it going forward. But I think we are both in agreement. I think considering the situation they were in, A+ for Joe Douglas on this trade.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot find anything bad about it. Truly cannot.
I cannot. It's a shame the situation cannot be salvaged, but Jamal sort of wrote his way out the door. Best of luck to him in Seattle, but I think the Jets are going to end up winning this trade in the long term just because they got so much stuff that can help them with their rebuild.
They do. The Seattle would literally have to win the Super Bowl in the next 2 years, something like that, Yeah. But I don't see that happening.
I don't either. But Will, thanks for hopping on the last minute. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun getting your thoughts on this Jamal Adams trade. I did not want to wait till the next episode to get this out there.
No, I had to. When you texted me, I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get this going. Let's get it out there before I forget some of the points I want to make.
Yeah, I'll get it out there. I will point out, everybody, go check out this week's podcast episode, including the episode you were on came out on Tuesday with Jason Stark, and the baseball movie draft was a lot of fun.
Yeah, baseball's going. Baseball's kicking off. Kicking off. Baseball. What, pitching?
Yep.
Baseball's going. So yeah, we go finish this Mets game. Hopefully we get a win and see how the rest of the week goes.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I will say, subscribe to this podcast, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, all the usual suspects. can also go to YouTube, Mike Phillips on YouTube. This entire episode is going to be up there in just a bit, so check that out as well. You can also leave your feedback and star ratings. Very important going forward. You can also follow me on Twitter, hashtag MPhillips331. Will, how can people follow you on Twitter?
I'm on there at Will Schneider H1.
All right, and for the hashtag for this, I think we're going to go with King Douglas because Joe Douglas was a king with this trade, basically ripping off the Seahawks.
Yeah, how about Douglas 2020, right? No more President Maul, the new President Douglas.
New President Douglas. And we'll put it there. Stay tuned on Tuesday. New episode of the podcast dropping. I'm going to be talking to Rick Carpinell of The Athletic about the Rangers. Rangers Fan Forum, Pop Culture with Alan Austin. Until then, hope you have a better day than the Seahawks GM.
This has been the Just End the Suffering podcast.
I'm out.